Hi! I'm Barb.
And I'm Alex.
And we're Enchanterium. In today's video, we'll be customizing a special vinyl figurine made by our friend Elisa from Moonlight Jewel. It's Bean. We collaborated with Sammy from Harley's Dollhouse, and we're bringing you 2 custom sun and moon themed beans. So let's get started with the video. Let's unbox the figurine first. It came packaged very nicely, although the delivery person beat the outer box a bit. Inside, there's a template to help plan out your bean design, a very cute glittery bean sticker, which Alex and I will be fighting over, and the figurine itself. We got the white version of Bean as we thought it would give us the widest range of customization. It is packaged like something you would see on a shelf at the toy store. Looks very cute and professional. The doll comes with 2 heads, one with a tongue sticking out and one with closed lips, and some magnetic charms that you can put on Bean's chest. The limbs are articulated, and the whole thing is just too damn cute. It also comes with eye blinks, which is awesome, as you don't have to figure out the eye size yourself.
I'm going to start by disembodying the figurine. I think it will be easier to spray with Mr. Super Clear and to paint like this. After 2 coats of MSC sealant, I'm drawing the first layer of ornaments with a light pale yellow watercolor pencil. When I make a mistake, it's very easy to remove it with water. I'm working in layers, slowly building the opacity and the intensity of the color. I'm spraying the figurine with matte sealant after every layer of color. My concept for this doll is to paint henna-like patterns in a modern style with flowers, leaves and cute little chains. Our Bean collab has a theme of sun and moon witches, with us having the sun. When I think about the sun, I think about summer, nature and henna. Before my doll customizing journey began, my main artistic job was henna painting. I still do it, but the pandemic made it very hard for me to meet with the customers, and there were no festivals, meetings and other events. So I want to incorporate these designs that I love so much into this doll, to remind me of better summers. First, I wanted our Bean to have yellow or gold decorations, but they weren't visible, so I gradually started to add deeper colors like coral, orange, brown and red. When I have the outlines of the peony done, I'm moving on to little details. Just like every face-up, this doll needs a bit of blushing on the cheeks, nose and forehead. And those big ears need some color as well. The color palette for this doll is going to be yellow and pink, so I'm adding pink to the inside part of the ears and yellow on the outside. Now let's finally move on to the eyes. I want the lashes to look like sunbeams, so they are very straight and long. I'm adding a bit of colorful eyeshadows around the eyes for a nice pop of color. The brows are short and straight because I want a cheerful but rather neutral expression. To build the color on the lashes, I'm using brown for the inner corners and dark red for the rest. A sun-kissed skin reminds me of tiny freckles that are visible only in the summer. I'm moving on to white acrylic paint, and it's not super visible on a white doll, but it makes the existing lines pop more. I'm using it to add detail and also to clean some of the edges because all of my paintings have this paper-like pixelated texture, and white paint can easily fix it. Some Perlex powder on top, and the face is ready. Let's paint something similar on the body. I'm using the same techniques as on the face, so there's no point of showing you it in detail. To sketch the idea, I'm using pale yellow watercolor pencil, and then adding a darker color with every new layer. On the last layer, I cleaned up the lines with acrylic paint and added little dots on the petals for more tattoo-like aesthetic. We don't have any sun in the design yet, so I'm painting a white delicate circle with 16 beams. I decided to paint one leg and one arm for a diagonal design. I'm applying pink and yellow chalk pastels to the legs and arms. And this is how all the parts turned out. I tried to assemble the parts at room temperature, but I didn't want to crack the ornaments, so I heated it off camera with a hairdryer. It helped a lot, especially with the tail and the arms.
For the little clothes I'll be making for our kitty cat, I pulled out some old clothes and fabric scraps in yellow and pink tones. I started by measuring around the head of the doll to figure out how to make a witch hat. I wrote some stuff down to pretend that I am an intellectual, gave the cat some little pats, and did some math off-screen to figure out the shapes that I need to be cut. I added some interfacing to the pinkish red fabric to make the rim of the hat stiffer, and I am stacking it on top of the paler yellow cotton, as I want the underside of the rim to be a different color. I traced my pattern, adding some seam allowance that I forgot to include on the paper, and I was trying to show you something when I realized an old tag sticker thing was smack dab in the middle of the red part of the hat. That irritated me a bit, as I was just looking at the tag a few minutes prior thinking to myself, Barb, you make sure you avoid that spot. I interfaced another piece of the red fabric and I'm going to try again. This time I'm not adding the seam allowance because I just figured I'll sew on the seam line first and trim the fabric later. After the seam is in place, I trim away the excess on the outside and cut out the inside as well. I snip at the outer seam allowance to make sure the curved seam will turn out nicely. I slid my finger along the seam on the inside of the rim to make sure the curve is as smooth as possible. To make the top of the hat, I calculated what a cone would look like flat and then pinched the top a little, because I was aiming for a droopy tip. I positioned the pattern so that the tip isn't interfaced in hopes that it will help the droop. I traced it, cut it, and sewn it together into a cone-adjacent shape. To attach it to the rim, I turned it over to the right side and started butting up the red part of the rim to it, right sides together. It looks a bit confusing on the video, but if you start with the right sides together, eventually it will come full circle and make a hat. I decided to hand stitch this part because I don't think my presser foot would fit inside the circumference of the hat. After that's done, it's really starting to take shape. To finish the inside of the hat nicely, I'm positioning the red seam allowance towards the rim of the hat, snipping at it where necessary, and folding the yellow seam allowance under to hide the raw edge. I secure all that with tiny hand stitches for a clean look. I know I complain about hand sewing a bunch, but that's usually for things I know could be done better on the machine. For finishing stuff like that in inconspicuous places, I'm totally okay with doing some hand sewing because it's not that visible if it looks bad. The droop on the hat was expectedly not very droopy, so I played around with the position of the tip a bit and stitched it down in place. The hat is meant to be covering only one of the ears, but it slips off the head for now. Hopefully some decorations later on will fix that. The next item in line is a little coat. I decided to make it simply out of a half circle and I cut it out of this mustard colored fabric. To make sure the edges won't get absolutely destroyed, I used some fray check. I started by hemming the neckline since I knew I wouldn't add any decorations there, and I was still contemplating what I was going to do with the rest of the coat. For such a tight curve, I decided to hand sew this. I really wanted to use this pale beige ribbon to add some pizzazz to the garment, so I started playing with different techniques. I tried to sew it on with a thread, then I tried to sew with the ribbon, but nothing was really speaking to me. I went on a Pinterest quest to pick up some new techniques as well, and I found a tutorial, but the ribbon was too small and it was too confusing for me to follow since the article was in German and the pictures weren't clear enough, so I gave up on that as well. I came back to the bare coat and noticed the tail was making it pucker a bit, so I shortened it in the back enough to clear the tail. I was very much figuring out this project out as I went. At some point, I went back to the ribbon embroidery idea, but I decided to unpick the part that was in front of the coat and only decorate the bottom edge, so let me show you the stitch I used. I searched around the house for a needle that would have a big enough eye to fit the ribbon, and I cut my ribbon at an angle and burned the end to make sure it would go through the needle as smoothly as possible. Then, I folded the ribbon over the edge and poked the needle through the ribbon, about half a centimeter away from the edge. I've seen this stitch used to make flower petals. My needle was a bit thick, so it took a fair amount of wiggling to get it through to the other side. Then I would fold the ribbon back up to the right side and poke through it again, making sure the spacing was roughly the same along the edge. Rinse and repeat till you get to the front edge. I hemmed the front edges off camera and added 2 golden buttons up top, making sure that the pins in the background are in focus and not what I'm doing. To make the closure, I utilized my engineering degree and precisely measured the diameter of the button. Then, I looked for an object that will be of a similar diameter. It just so happens that I own a set of crochet hooks that came in handy for this purpose. I bent a piece of gold wire around the hook to create a loop that could go over the button, and I sewn it to the wrong side on one of the sides of the coat, also disregarding your viewing pleasure and making sure the hook was in the focus this time. But hey, it works. Since I had the crochet hooks on the table and a scarf in mind, I thought, hey, why not make this scarf with the crochet hooks? I busted out some yellow yarn and I quickly learned why I should not make this scarf with the crochet hooks, and the answer is that I just absolutely suck at crochet. After a couple of tries, I decided that it might look better if I just use fabric instead. I strategically pressed the fabric with some folds that I thought would resemble a crumpled up scarf and just played around with the height of the whole thing until it looked like a believable yellow scarf. I trimmed the excess fabric with pinking shears to avoid fraying and kept on trying it on our little bean to see if I liked it. I thought the scarf covering the mouth looked hella cute, so I went with it. I marked the length of the scarf, trimmed it some more but harder, checked the fit again, trimmed it again, but on the other side, checked the fit again, briefly contemplated making the scarf close in the front but decided against it, and finally, I committed to gluing the edges down into the final shape. I just used a bit of white glue for this, as it only needs to be tacked in place so it doesn't unravel. I added a snap closure on each end of the scarf to make sure it stays put, and a final try-on. It's so adorable! As I mentioned, the hat needs some accessorizing because I want to make it more stable on the head, so I'm going to bust out some very old polymer clay canes I made like a million years ago, and see if I can use them there. I have this yellow petal cane and this butterfly cane as well. I slowly started working them down to a smaller size, hoping that I can kind of condition the clay and it won't crack. It took some elbow grease, but I managed to get it into a more bean-appropriate size. Using a thin, long blade, I cut the cane into slices. I rotated the cane every few slices to make sure I'm not flattening one side too much with the pressure of the blade. Using a ball tool, I tried to add a little texture to the petals, and I used these jewelry making wires to create the middle of my flowers. I sometimes used more than one wire to add some variety. I stuck the petals to the wires one by one, shaping the flower with my fingers. The butterfly cane was a little bit more tricky because of its weird shape, but it was a bit softer than the petal one, so it reduced nicely. I cut slices of varying sizes and I trimmed some of them and changed the shape to make sure that I have at least one believable butterfly. I thought it would be better to have more of these in case one breaks or just turns out ugly. I propped some of them up on a piece of paper to give them that flying kind of expression. I baked all of these according to the manufacturer's instructions.
Let's make eyes for our little cat. This one will be yellow and this one pink. After painting the irises with acrylic paints, I'm gluing the pupils made from yellow and pink rhinestones. I'm using UV resin to fill the irises, working in thin layers. To add a bit of sparkle, I'm sprinkling pink and gold glitter on the first layer of the resin. Then I'm placing a few iridescent glitter pieces in the shape of stars, sparkles, and dots. I carefully did 4 layers of resin, curing each layer in a UV lamp for 2 or 3 minutes depending on the thickness of resin. I usually prefer painted eyes with no sparkles because they're so much easier to photograph. These inset eyes with a lot of sparkles are usually too cute for me and are unpredictable to catch on pictures, but I think this time this method fits perfectly. The head is a bit too stiff to place the eyes, so I heated it with a hairdryer first, and then tried to put the eyes in their place. And oh my god, it looks so cute! To make this design a bit more fun and cartoony, I'm painting sunbeams on the yellow part of the hat. For that, I'm using regular acrylic paint. I'm also gluing a cream ribbon around the hat. The hat is bold and beautiful, but doesn't really stay in place. Our favorite way to hold things in place are magnets, and we're going to use this technique here too. I'm securing the bigger magnet inside the head with blue tack and gluing the smaller magnet to the hat with hot glue. The idea is to cover it with decorations. These flowers need a little trim, and they can also be glued to the hat. I'm mostly using hot glue for bigger decorations, but for rhinestones and smaller stuff, I prefer to use white glue that dries transparent. The hat looks gorgeous, but the butterflies broke my initial color palette. That's why, instead of a cartoony magical stuff in light colors, I'm going to use this black crystal made from leftover resin and iridescent glitter in cute shapes. I can't remember why and when Barb casted it, but it's going to complement the black butterflies perfectly. I'm using epoxy sculpt to secure it in place and make some random details. I didn't have a plan for this stuff, it's more like freehand crafting. I painted it brown, pink and yellow to match the overall color palette and then decorated it with this gem. Barb added the same kind of decoration to the end of the hat, and I like when details are repeated at least once. It makes the design feel more cohesive. Lastly, I'm gluing small rhinestones and the magical weapon is finished.
This is how they turned out. For their name, we decided to play with words a little bit, and since it's a sun-themed bean doll, we decided their name shall be Beam. We often make joke suggestions to each other when naming dolls, and sometimes one just sticks too well. Anyway, this project was a really fun freehand kind of experience. Make sure you also watch Harley's Dollhouse's video and her moon-themed bean.
I love henna and also like dolls. I'm always glad when I can join my 2 favorite things together into one piece of craft. Do you have a few different hobbies that you like merging into one? Let us know in the comments down below. I wish I could sleep and eat at the same time, but henna and doll customizing are a good combo too.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram for some sneak peeks and subscribe for future videos. Have an enchanted day, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Adding a darker color with every new jeleń.
After a couple of tries, I decided that I'm
also gluing a cream ribbon.
Cream ribbon.
Cream ribbon.